Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Feedback Friday. I'm your host, Jacob, and we are doing art today. How's everyone doing this fine morning? Audio working? Good. Stream on. Commence art. Probably going to be a shorter one today. I have to get off to the post office before they close, and I have a few things I want to wrap up. But should go smoothly. It's going to be a kind of an interesting stream. Uh, Somewhat familiar, but we'll see how it goes. I think I'm just going to jump right in. Hello, hello. And let's begin. So today we are chromifying another base. This one you might recognize. And electromagnetic meteorite base it is. Uh, Hello, hello, Kyle Hunt, Max Ross, Trevor. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Um, so, you've seen me do this before, and it's going to be a very similar process because we're creating a series, and in that, um, we're kind of using similar elements, tying it all together, and also not making it the most over the top, kind of drawn out task to kind of, you know, um, go crazy rendering Chrome on top of an already quite busy base. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up the Chrome frame we did on the previous base. And looking at that version, not quite happy with where elements lay on this base, so we're going to be playing around with it and kind of modifying that. So something I'm noticing is this old base is kind of outside of the frame for what it needs to be. Usually it's the opposite problem. Usually they're like a little too narrow, and then the actual if a trap has like a filled in background, uh, sort of like, well, this would work. Actually, it's kind of painted over top, but let's see a good one here. So a trap with a filled in background like that, if the base is too small, you get like a weird kind of pixel gap there that is unsightly. Uh, but yeah, so this is working off an old image, um, but shouldn't be too bad to kind of figure out something fun. So right now, the way we are kind of modifying these is using masking to kind of like reveal and hide parts of this base. It's a great way to kind of just like add and subtract non-destructively. So what I'm thinking of doing is these batteries, those kind of feel like I want them, well, first of all, they're kind of like this round corner on a kind of like block, which is a little awkward. Um, but what we could do potentially is erase away. That's not quite the same frame. There's a few going on. Let's see, what one do I need to tackle? That might be one. Okay. So I think I need to mask away both of these. So if I erase here, and then I also erase here, there we go. So they're kind of stacked on top of each other, so I'm gonna have to fight that a little bit. Do I just get rid of one of these? Actually, maybe I just get rid of this more detailed version. Although I like the bars there. Yeah. So what we could do, is have these kind of going right up to the battery on each side. And then maybe we remove that. Do we have the battery come out in front, I wonder? Actually, maybe a good way to handle this would be to actually put this into a folder and then use a mask on the folder in case I want to go back to how cut out these elements are, because I'd have to redo cutting that out if I kind of work off of that mask. So it just saves me a little bit extra effort. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it can go behind like that. Uh, just dip it in Chrome. Make the Chrome run down it onto the ground. It's like dripping off of it. All right, so if I do that, that might not be too bad. One idea could be to actually like bring some Chrome out on the face of it, so we could kind of look at that potential as well. Um, like I don't mind covering up a lot of the sides. There's not too much here that I'm like, oh, we got to have these details to understand what this base is. I feel like the batteries are kind of like a big part of the look of it. Um, and then, yeah, maybe what I could do is have another layer. So that's for when it's transparent. Okay, so I'm going to copy the Chrome layer, and instead of the sides, I'm going to use this one just for the top. That way I can turn it on and off without losing the other version of it. Okay, so it's fully masked out. So now I can kind of paint it back in. And let's see if we can find any interesting elements. So these corners are pretty cool. Maybe we can kind of like do something like that. Ooh, that almost, oh. So it lines up beautifully right here. However, when this base was created, it was not adhering the best to uh, perspective. Tricky. Tricky, tricky. Okay, so I mean, I could modify the base to match it. Battery acid corroding some chrome. I don't know, is chrome like very noble and doesn't, well, I guess it would melt in acid of some kind. But it's a very non-tarnishing metal. It's actually used in stainless steel to give it the stainless steel properties. Um, Basically, it's like a small percentage mixed into the alloy, and the moment air kind of interacts, it basically causes it to like form a shell right on the surface of the steel, and that becomes a barrier to prevent oxidation. So just the tiniest percentage mixed into the alloy makes it stainless. But then again, as pure chrome, maybe it has different properties altogether, and I'm not really aware of that. But similar to like gold and pure silver, they don't really tarnish. Um, Now, we do, of course, have the tarnished chrome charm, because in Narnia, uh, physics, all kinds of fun things don't follow the same rules. So in this universe, for sure, it can tarnish up. Okay, so I kind of like this cap here, but it really does not play the best with the battery. Be nice with more chrome on the face, yes. I wish there were cutouts for the little pink oval decor on the edges. So like these little lights here, because we could maybe see about doing that. Although that feather is like right in that exact spot. I mean, with it being on the face, maybe it would actually be pretty cool to have the sides be really open. So like if I completely wipe out those details, that does look pretty nice. So we could do something like that. When do we get the Nanian closet trap skin for the Dark Mirrors trap? The wardrobe? I feel like that'd be pretty good. I'm kind of tempted to like modify the base to like make these line up with the chrome better, because they don't. What I could do is, let's see, could go into the working file and modify that. Hello, Jedi. Yeah, I kind of like it on the cap there, the top of it. So let's see if I go, because I'm just grabbing the high-res PNG. What I could do is import, create file object. When was this? Relic Hunter, I think? What, season 7 or 8, maybe? Season 7. Okay, so this is the working PSD file. Unfortunately, it was created in a different resolution than we usually do, so that's kind of awkward. Okay. So close. All right. 76%. That's too small. You know what? I'm going to go into, put this to 100%. I'm going to go into the actual PSD. All right. And we're going to change the image size to 1520, which is what it should be. And give that a save. Okay. Now, when I go back to the base here, update object, boom, there we go. So now it is correctly sized. So now, get rid of this. I'll keep that. All right. If I copy that. Oh, I don't want to be working in Photoshop. Ugh, I don't like painting in Photoshop anymore. Let's see. All right, I'm going to quit Photoshop. So I can modify this file. Gonna go find the base. Sorry, all this is like happening off screen. Season 7, traps, PSD, open with, Clip Studio. There we go. Okay, cool. So now let's see if I can go to the top of the base, paste this. So now I see where these elements are lining up. And that looks like the batteries. Okay, I actually have like a grid that I can potentially throw on top of this. Make it a little easier to work with, potentially. Where is it? Hmm. Okay, so if this goes on the top, turn that on and off. But you can see just how not even close in perspective these are to each other. So let's drop that down. We'll hide that for now. And we just need to pick like what part the battery starts and ends at. Actually, with the Chrome as the kind of suggestion, maybe we go like here. Like that. Though it really does seem like even this grid is a little bit imperfect. But that's better than it was. Okay. So now if I move that battery into that slot, maybe shrink this one into that, that'll play nicer. Yeah, I have to adjust both sides. But there's a couple things that I'm kind of like, I don't know, I kind of want to tweak it. Like this ellipse feels a little bit sharp. It looks more like a kind of pinched ellipse. Okay, so can I grab that? Or is it just these two elements? Almost. Okay. Alright. Maybe I can move these further up. The challenge of working in someone else's file. Okay, so these two need to go with it. That needs to go with it. That needs to go with it. That needs to go with it. So that. Don't need to mask these. These need to come up here. Also don't need to mask those, because what I can do is grab this shape and erase outside. There we go. Okay. So these are batteries. Still missing the highlight. There we go. All right. Got them. Okay. So now I can basically just grab this, move it down. And what I think I'll do is actually cut, no, make sure I'm in the right folder. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to cut them out into their own folder. So now I have batteries left and bat right. And what we can do now is clip these. Set that to normal. So now, if I move this around, it's going to clip to the base shape, which is what we want. So that can go there. And that can maybe shift down a little bit. And I can use a mask on that to just kind of round that over a little bit more. Now, I don't know if we're gonna bother to like upload the art tweak I'm doing to this base for posterity. It's like, should we just keep the original art? It's not a big change. I'm just kind of like shifting that down a little bit. Yeah, interestingly enough, the base doesn't exactly, like the chrome doesn't follow the grid exactly either. It's not that far off though, so maybe it's just how the skew is working. Do viewers count as designers? Yeah, actually, I'd say that like the chat here have done like a fair amount of design work on traps and mice and all kinds of elements of the game, even like game design ideas and stuff. So, you know, are the batteries rechargeable? 100%. That's like part of the base's function is to like charge them up. Oh yeah, someone else designed this one. Yeah, there's like 4 full-time artists. Yeah. And then we have like UX designer and yeah, no, exactly. During the stream, sometimes I'll kind of like add in initials for different viewers and just kind of like as a little Easter egg, just a fun little detail to kind of be like, I was here and part of the creation of this. So it's just kind of a neat, unique thing that we do. All right, so if I erase that there and there, maybe it comes to that point. Though I am tempted to just shrink the battery until it fits how I want it. And I think it'll make a better image. So let's just do it that way. So I'll have the chrome go up to these lines, like so. And then I will have the batteries adjusted to fit. Only part-time designer. Exactly. That will get you in there. Get you in there, Kyle. All right. Let's see. Okay, so shrink that down until it's AAA instead of AA. And same with this one. Hopefully it's not too dissimilar from the original design. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, that was a thing we did a long time ago, and it wasn't necessarily like an ideal thing to do. Um, Whereas like cute little Easter eggs is kind of a better direction than kind of naming an LE trap after a specific player. Um, just because it's like so in the face of everybody and draws a lot of attention to someone. So it's just we have learned since then maybe that's not the best way to kind of celebrate players' achievements. Okay, where is that line? There it is. Okay. Oh, I've been drawing this on the, the original base. Um, so I don't need to get the Chrome in here. I'll do that on the actual Chrome file I'm setting up. But this, let's just finish fixing this up. Okay, so now I think I'll just have that extend forward. And then there. I should just be working on the layer up here, I think. Just overpaint things. Cool. All right. So I'm going to save this as an alternate file. So adjusted that. And now if I point to the new version of the file, bump. Okay, cool. So that's changed. Now let's go to the Chrome here. Gonna get rid of all that. There we go. So then, can get rid of that. Bring that in. Do I perhaps do this? Too much? Yeah, I feel like that's too much. So do I want to do anything to the front portion of this, I wonder? Kind of prefer that where it's open at the front. Like maybe the ticket is just to do something like this, where we have a thin slice all the corners at the top. And then we can paint over all these little kind of like ridges here. Just have it down to one mask. Meteorite instead of Adorn Jewel. I think we're keeping the Adorn Jewel just because that's part of the costs for these. I believe. Hopefully I'm correct about that because I've been painting them with it in it. What else? Well, we want the reflection below because it's cool. Hi, Charlie. Come to stand in front of my monitor because I'm streaming. Yes, you're a sweetie. I know. Okay, get on my lap. Okay, so maybe that clicks all the way to the base of the battery. All right, just lay down. Nope, she's too curious. Okay, and I think because of that, I want it to connect like that. So we're just going to paint over this chrome area, simplify it. It's too noisy. In which case, maybe this will also get a little treatment here. And then, boy, that's all hacked up, huh? There we go. I'll unmask that. So hopefully that works. Maybe. I don't know. Some of this gets a little bit complicated how the layers interact with each other. Okay, so I'm going to mask on top of this, and we're just going to flatten some of this stuff. Get some of these little highlights in here though. Great. Leave some of these like gouges in the metal because it's been through pirate territory. Got a little dinged up while in their care. Classic pirates. Careless swashbucklers. Okay, so flatten that. So we'll do a layer under this just to get a little bit more depth. Ooh, I meant behind that. Right. So that's pretty okay. All right, and then on the surface of this, because that kind of abruptly ends, I'm just gonna fix those faces. Yeah, Charlie? All right. You go ahead, get back there. No? You don't want to go behind my monitor? All right, fine. You just want to sit in front of my drawing tablet. You want to say hi to the camera at least? A beast. Ferocious beast who needs her nails trimmed. My goodness. Okay. All right. So, where are we at? Just detailing here. Yeah, this is like so much wider than up here. Perspective can be tricky. But that's acceptable looking, right? It's not perfect, certainly, but it does the job better than it had. Also, look at this, my hotkeys are working again. Did just require a restart. But actually, the other day, I managed to spill some water on my keyboard, and my A key stopped working periodically for a bit, but seems to have recovered. So, good job, keyboard. All right. So, I think I'm happy with this. I know it's like fast. We're just throwing a mask over and trimming it into place. Don't think it really needs any color adjustments either. The other one I did, I kind of like brought in a lot of the amber color into the chrome, but I don't really feel like this one needs that. Chrome batteries. Oh, that would have been interesting. A curious concept. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Gonna save it. And let's see about exporting this. So, yeah, that goes there. Full res. 100%. Ooh, interesting. There's something going on here. Look at this. What's all this? What's all the... Oh, I think I know what's up. All right. This is pulling from a file with the white included. I'm going to have to just save with it turned off. And now, let's try that again. Full res. 100%. There it is. Okay, we're better. Looks good. All right, and then save the actual size for the game, which is 760. Boom. And we'll need to do a thumbnail for that as well. All right. So we're coming up on 12 o'clock, which means we'd only been streaming for an hour at that point, which is not very long at all for an art stream. What I'm thinking is I have another one in the docket. It's a little more complicated though. And I'm not totally certain what direction we want to take it. Because there is a precedent for it to change modes. Kind of like the thief base with the sneak and the heist. But I don't know how we want to pull that off, and Norm's kind of the point man on that, and he's off today. So we should probably just dive in and try it without the feedback from him and just see where we take it. You know, that seems like the best way to do this kind of thing, you know. Just let go of the wheel, see where it takes us, right? Right? Okay. In that case, let's take a look at what we're looking at. We got two bases here. We got, what is it called again? The like storm surge something. Forget the names of these. There's, let's see, storm condenser, I think. And then, what's the other one? I had it up. Forecaster, right? Storm condenser and forecaster. So, similar idea. We're chromifying it. However, these do not play nice together, right? They kind of have the opposite effects of each other. One kind of prevents your kind of movement in Machu Picchu, I believe, and the other one amplifies your movement, I believe. I might be wrong. I should probably look at the wiki because the wiki is. I don't know if the player base appreciates just how useful the wiki is to the developer team. It's incredible. Because when we store our kind of art assets with the release they came out with, for example. So like during a Relic Hunter event or something, we would kind of like be like, okay, cool, these are all the assets we created for the event, or Great Winter Hunt, or whatever it is, right? And those all get bundled and packaged into our repo from like in the release folder. And then we're kind of like later on, we're like, all right, we got to work with this specific base. And it's a Machu Picchu base. So I go to the Machu Picchu folder and I'm like, where is it? Of course it's not here. It's in some kind of event. What event did it get released with? I don't remember. There's so many. So I can just go to the wiki. It's got images that I'm like, yep, that's what it looks like in case we need to kind of like reference it really quick. But really importantly, it's like it was a part of Relic Hunter Season 8. And then I can go into the folder and find it. Now, of course, there's like, you can do searches in your file structures to find assets, but sometimes in the past, old Jacobs and other team members may not have predicted what the final in-game name would be on the asset while it was being created and did not go back and fix the name structure on that. So searching by a name that is not what the working file name is doesn't always work. Um, so yeah, Wiki is a lifesaver. The amount of time it has like saved us in just being able to find what we need, incredible. And also just like knowing when a thing came out, how it works related to things, etc. Like it's great. I love it. They do such awesome work, the Wiki team. So I don't know if you hear it enough, but y'all are incredible and help the gears turn. So there you go. Um, yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think the game it's an old relic of a game in a lot of ways. Um, there are portions of MouseHunt that are unplayable without the wiki, honestly. That's a problem on game design front and on the developer team for kind of like, you know, building it so you know, obtusely that you require going outside of the game to like know what you're supposed to be doing. So that's on us. But again, lifesaver. So yeah. All right. So what are we looking at? Got the forecaster and storm condenser. So what I want to do is I want to combine these into one base. But I want you to be able to kind of like convert into the different mode, right? So is it a case of when you're in storm condenser mode, I only want you to see the storm condenser, or do I want it to look like both, but it's obviously storm condensing, and then another time it's obviously um, the other name of the trap, forecasting. Hmm, I don't know. Okay. Initial thoughts on combining this. Put one of the anemometers in place of the weather pattern swirl in the storm condenser base. Like, that's a great idea. Um, However, is it going to be confusing when you're like, what mode am I in when I look at the base? Because I think that's, first of all, I think the thumbnail is going to need to be really distinct between the two. Um, and then I believe we're probably going to have to do something with the HUDs to like introduce a switch mode button kind of thing, like how the Thief works, right? The Thief base, you can kind of change the mode while you're inside of Zocor, I think, and Labyrinth in general, or is it just Zocor? But there's a button to switch modes, and we're going to need that for this. Um, yeah, technically, I don't think it needs to be two separate images, but I think we've done it already with the Thief base, and it works, and I think I want to do the same here. So I'm kind of like thinking, I don't want them to be like completely different from each other, but I feel like it is important that they are distinctly different. And I feel like the Chrome is liable to get in the way of important details. So looking at the two, I'm just going to kind of point out things that I'm seeing that are like, this seems like an important, noteworthy detail. Um, the lights on the forecaster base and the lightning crackling through it, the purples, the anemometer, the kind of glass dome, those are all kind of like, you know, okay, that's the elements that feel like they make up this base. For this one, I feel like the grating with the storm swirling through it, the grates are an iconic thing to this. And then the kind of like internal roiling storm is interesting. And the color is quite distinct from the other. So what we might do is maybe take the shape of the forecaster and the light. So, okay, thinking about it, what I need to do is probably have the front corner really distinct because it's probably really important to have the thumbnail of the base itself reflect what the base is, because it's very easy for a trap to cover over the base and hide those like visual indicators. The cheese is going to cover part of it, the trap covers part of it. So like maybe you don't actually have enough detail to really easily and quickly identify what mode the base is in. So the thumbnail is going to be important to be distinct. I think the purple glow is going to be a strong portion. So I think we got to keep these colors really strong and separated between the modes. So we got to clear out the chrome from in front of here, but we need enough chrome in the image to let you know that when you're looking at the thumbnail in general, you're like, that's the chrome version of those bases. So it's a little bit tricky to balance all these elements. Um, yeah, making the front half the mode you're in could be a good way to do it. Because, I mean, in general, the base gets covered over by a trap in the back half pretty easily. So it's not as important what's going on back there. Yeah, if the purple light is on, then it's armed. And I think if it's strong enough and distinct enough colors, then that should work. Because like the thief base, the heist and sneak mode have similar elements, but like they color change. Some things get replaced with different textures. Uh, so at a glance, you're like, they're different, but like you can still see they're the same kind of like shape underneath of everything. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like I'm not opposed to there being like different lights. I think the color is important, but I also want to respect any kind of color blindness to it. So it still needs to be distinct in that realm. Um, yeah. So again, there's some good requirements to make this a tricky piece. But what we can start with is getting the chrome out of the way. Because again, I think that that's going to be pretty critical for readability, is just kind of like pulling the chrome. Let's get rid of that one. Yeah, pulling the chrome away from the thumbnail corner. So let's just free that up entirely. And then find a way to make sure that chrome is still identifiable in the thumbnail. But if I look at where that light is on this base, I want to make sure that that's open. So I'm going to get rid of that even more. Yeah, let's just knock all that away. See what we're left with. Like what it could be is this is actually all chrome here, but we keep the light. We make it a more purpley chrome. We kind of remove these filigree details here, maybe bring them in here. And then in the other mode, similar idea, but like the color shift is different. We have the grate on the side instead of the light on the front, right? That could work. So like maybe this goes away. And maybe we need to get a little bit of fancy filigree on the top. But the top is also a good area to kind of see what the base is. Tricky, tricky. Like maybe it's similar to the previous base we just did, where we have kind of like the top of it encases this kind of like enclosure. So we get to see these kind of like, yeah, the forecaster set up in there. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't need to blend these bases all that much. In fact, it's cleaner if I don't, maybe. Where it can just swap between the two. Just so that there's minimal confusion, right? Yeah, each has a distinct image, exactly. I mean, maybe I should pull those up just to have a good idea of what we're dealing with. So, thief base. Boop, boop. Yeah. All right, so copy image. Let's go to the top here. Thief base. Right, so they're distinctly colored and totally different images, but it has something that like it maintains the form, which is really just that kind of like little face at the front. Everything else is pretty unique. There's these kind of like little nubbies there, but that's pretty much it. So the face at the front and the nubbies on the sides there are kind of the main things that stay consistent, but everything else is very distinct. So I think as long as we like keep something consistent, I'm thinking it's going to be like this shape here. We like bring that shape in, and then we get rid of the light on the front, and we put in the drain on the side, or the grill, or whatever. And then maybe I make this encased in glass, like this. If we bring in the anemometer, maybe that works. Okay. Well, I'm thinking this element here, especially because of the thumbnail rule. That's probably what we really want. So I'm gonna do that to start because it seems logical now that I'm looking at it. But then like the core of the base can just kind of be whatever. Okay, so let's bring back this base. So we'll paint that in. And then I think the back being chromed up like this is kind of a nice way to kind of show off a bit more chrome. Okay, and then we'll have to figure out the jewel, I think. Okay, and again, like the other one, we're gonna simplify the filigree details. And then this. Great. And I actually kind of like this being open. beyond that point. Feels more forecaster based to have it open there, right? And then let's take a look at the condenser. Yeah. Okay. For the condenser, it comes further back, so I'm actually going to make the mask go as far back as that. Okay, and that, maybe a bit there. Cool. Okay. And I think that works pretty well. And so, although they don't really share anything other than the Chrome at this point, I think that'll sort of tie them together using that same framing. Okay, I'm going to clean this up a bit. Yeah, doing different scratches is a good idea, actually. I should do that. Because otherwise it is true, it's just copying and pasting. That's not how that would work. Now, if we weren't doing it using this technique, we wouldn't really be able to introduce as many of these as we are, because this technique is really fast compared to how we would normally kind of render out a new base like this. So because of being able to mask and just kind of like erase reveal, it's letting us bring out this whole series. So there is kind of compromises in like level of detail, but like we're gonna paint over these things. We might as well paint over a bunch of the gouges, right, and just change those up. This, I think I want to fill these in like that. Do I just fill that whole thing in, maybe? Just give it a little nicer weight behind it. And then with this one, we're going to want there to be like the chrome back here painted into this. So it's kind of like you're seeing inside of the glass behind it. Right. And I think I'll do like a color shift on the chrome as well for this one, so that it like looks even more distinct. Chrome lightning. All right, so time to paint over the chrome. There's also the potential of painting in depth back here. Color shift stuff. Okay. I think I'm going to put that in a folder. And we're going to go on top of this. Charlie. What's going on, girl? All right, lap time. You have chosen lap. It is correct. Yeah, half storm condenser, half forecaster is challenging to make sure that you know what one it is, though, if they're too blended together. Um, so I want to make sure it feels like I can swap between the two and it makes sense. Uh, like, if I were designing it from scratch, I think the way I would do it, and maybe we'll end up going this way, it's a little more complicated though. I'm just going to delete all this stuff below. It's not important in this file. Um, would be to kind of start with the forecaster look, and then when it goes into condenser mode, we like introduce these clouds inside of the forecaster and like shift the color. So like again, I might do that. Yeah, and maybe we'll keep the like light on the front of it too, and like change the color. Maybe. As long as it's distinct in grayscale is the thing, which I'm not sure it would be. But yeah, I think I want to tweak what the condenser looks like a little bit to like make it closer to the forecaster. Not that that was the intention of this task. It's definitely adding a lot more complexity than I need to. So it's probably a terrible idea. Yeah, just keep one of the spinny weathery things maybe. Yeah, that might be enough. Might be right. But yeah, I think the trick is painting them into each other. But yeah, effectively what I'm thinking of trying is making the forecaster the structure of the drawing and then painting elements of the condenser into the forecaster. So like what we could try is something like actually I'm going to duplicate this real quick. And then if I move this down so it's more inside of this space, because like part of the joy of the asset we're bringing back is that it has parts of the original in it, you know? Like some of these bases are beloved and like you can't get them. So we kind of want to offer a little bit of that, but it's different enough. You know, you don't have the LE version of any of this if you weren't there at the time. That's not really it, but it's a useful version of it. But you can't say it's the original. That still has the LE-ness to it. Okay, so we'll paint in some cloudage. And I'll probably paint in some of the weather vane. Introduce the grate on the side, probably. But like having it trapped inside of the glass feels more correct. And again, this is all non-destructive painting at the moment. Just kind of masking and unmasking parts to add and subtract. Okay. So that's a start for that. So we got the forecaster, and now it is starting to condense things. Like if I put the inometer in the top, I could go into the working file of this. Where is that one? I think it was a Great Winter Hunt. 2024? It's a more recent one. No, that's the storm condenser. When was the forecaster Relic Hunter Season 8? Gotcha. Okay. Relic Hunter 8 traps. Okay, open with Clip Studio. Alright, so I kind of want to just grab, not that, but these. Hey, look at that. So now, if I come in here, and I paste that right in place, beautiful. So now I can actually go in and mask these back. And now I'm kind of like, do I want to shift this so that it's at the bottom? Yeah. That makes more sense. And then I'm going to just paint more smoke and cloudage into this. Yeah, I like this. This feels more a combo of the two, right? So now if I do this, have it being like pretty covered by these clouds. So then to kind of like go between the two, it's like, okay, this is the like forecaster mode and this is the condenser mode, right? It's pretty cool. All right, and then I want to just paint even more cloudage, more dark and royally stormy clouds. First of all, I'll do this behind. Yeah, the condenser part can be like put onto the bottom. In the the original condenser base, it's kind of like on the top of the base, which is a weird interaction with the other traps and stuff that like the cheese sits on top. Like it works because it's like kind of squished down, but like it's easier to put it inside a glass box and have everything interact perfectly that way. Yeah, so the lights back there are all kind of obscured by this kind of stormy ness. Um, but like we'll leave some of the glass exposed here so we can do the kind of chrome behind it look, make that kind of fun and interesting. Yeah, there's a bit more overpainting on these today than perhaps were necessary, but I like to kind of give a little extra during Feedback Friday so that it's not just simply watching me kind of mask and unmask an already illustrated image with no new kind of like creation. Um, so hopefully this is interesting enough. Yeah, it's maybe swirling a bit tight into that corner. Maybe I'll try raising it up a little bit and like chopping off the bottom of the condenser or the here, the animator, I guess. So it's like on top of that grill. Just make it fit a little better. Okay, and then I also want to reintroduce the glass layer on top. So if I go here and we turn that back on, grab those. Let's copy all that here, and boom. So now it feels a little more kind of like, oh yeah, it's inside this glass. I think I'll pull it back a little bit. It's maybe a bit intense. And I think I only need this for the condenser portion, right? So let's put that into its own folder. The condenser, the condenserizer. Okay, and then I think I want to just get rid of that highlight. Boom. And we'll change the color grading on these as well to be more of this kind of like teal kind of look. Because like the the forecaster is like this purple and the condenser is this kind of like teal, blues, purple, more teal. So say let's grab that. Let's bring this in and let's just kind of put a little color layer onto these. And That's not a good way to do that. Hue, maybe? Maybe the whole thing needs it. Not that either. Okay. I'll put it back just here. Okay. I do need to bring the light to the front of this to help make it more identifiable. Again, maybe I should just grab from here. Boop. Grab that. Where's that subtle glow coming from? Nowhere. Overlay here. But what about the light itself? Okay, I'll copy that over, see what that looks like. Okay, not the most helpful. What about this? There the lights are. Okay. Copy, paste. And they don't need to be exact to the original, because, I mean, it's a repaint of things. Alright. So we are coming up on 12:30. Making good time on these, honestly. So I don't mind doing this extra kind of painting and tweaking things. I don't think I need that. Just get rid of these. I will paint behind this kind of like purple, magenta kind of glow. So let's try an add glow layer with an occlusion brush. That's definitely too strong. Let's do an overlay layer. Just simply an add. Color dodge. Normal might even be what we want. Yeah, normal's pretty good because it's such a bright color I selected. Okay. So these lights are purely for the forecast mode. So we'll have that be down on, let's see, how should we do this? Because these need to be above the chrome. Forecaster lights. We're going to give this a purple color so that when I'm kind of doing exports, I can kind of maybe notice, oh, purple is for when it's forecaster mode, and turn on and off different parts of the file appropriately. Also, I need to reintroduce this kind of background element. Do I have one in this old working file? That's one there. Maybe not. Okay, I think I'll just have to paint it in. So let's hide condenser mode. We're going to go on to this electromagnetic. Nope, not electromagnetic. That's the wrong file name. Kind of kept it from the previous file, apparently. We're going to do this. And just kind of blend that in. And I did kind of render this on the front side as fully filled in. So we don't need to go crazy with the details. But the idea is we're looking at this filigree portion on the back side here. And I guess we could try to help indicate that with showing there be gaps through it, because it does look like there could be these gaps in it. But I don't want it to be too distracting. It's a little distracting with all that. So maybe I just leave it filled in. And then get that little diamond shape there. And I think I'm going to lighten it all up quite a bit. Just kind of fade it out a bit. So that's fine. And then I'm going to want the same thing back here. So this angle is a bit steeper. Maybe more like yay. Cool. All right. And then bring out the mask. And this should be quite a bit lighter. Cool. It's a little distracting there. I think I will fill that in fully. Feels a little less distracting now. But we can also lighten it up even more. Maybe I'd get like this kind of pink color to it because of the lightning up here. The lights. And we can change that color in condenser mode. That looks pretty good. Then I'm kind of feeling like maybe I want the top of this to work a little bit differently. There you go. Cool. I kind of like that. And then I want the inside of the chrome. Just to give a little bit more thickness to the chrome itself. Not much, though. I just don't want it to feel flat. Okay, and then similar kind of idea here. Cool. Okay, let's see how this looks. Not bad. Okay, so we still need the front corner to really distinctly change depending on what mode it's in. Because again, that's where the thumbnail is going to be grabbed. I think the bottom of it being dark will help a bit. Okay, and then I also want that light to turn off and there to be like a grill thing that gets put in its place. Also, the original forecaster base, there's like cool neon purple light on the side. So maybe bring that back in. So like this here could be reintroduced. Chrome weather controller base. Yeah, it doesn't reference the two. Chrome storm condenser forecaster. It's a mouthful. More lightning. More lightning could be good for the condenser mode. Yeah, I believe the working title of it is the Stormcaster. Which kind of takes both of the names and blends them together. Okay, so that's the original condenser. Maybe we want to bring more of that teal in. Maybe the bottom floor of it is that teal instead of just dark. Could do this. It's kind of cool looking. That does help make it feel more distinct as well. So then if I go between them, they feel similar yet different. Okay, I'm happy with that. It's going to help with the thumbnail too. Okay, and then yeah, overall I think tweaking the top layer of the chrome will be cool. So like I'm kind of wondering, this is the chrome folder here. Again, that can get unmasked to kind of like not have all that kind of cut away, have it sit there properly. Jewel, Chrome copy. So that's the forecaster lights. And I think maybe there'll be another layer. Maybe it's a duplicated group. Let's see. Do I copy it? Or do I just add an effect on top? A lot of these aren't used. It's really only these three. Don't even know what this one is. Nothing. Get out of here, empty folder or empty layer. Okay, these are all old variants. I'm actually going to clean it up a bit. Get rid of all that. Okay, forecaster lights and yeah, you know what? I'm going to duplicate. Well, Chrome denser. And then for Chrome. Nice. Okay, so this is the Chrome for the forecaster. Boom. And then this is going to be the chrome for the condenser. We'll make green. So the forecaster lights get removed. And instead we have a grill on the side. Do I just go into the original file and pull that in, maybe? What year was that? That's the meteorite base. Bum, bum, bum. 2024 Great Winter Hunt. All right. Where's the working file? Well, might not exist. All right, that's fine. What I can do is take a copy of this, put it at the top, and mask and paint. So now the question is, do we have these elements present in both versions? So like, should I see the light turned off in condensing mode? And then in forecast mode, should I see that there is a grill here, but it's just like, I don't know. I'd kind of prefer if it doesn't have both, just because I really feel like it's going to be super important for them to just be really noticeably different. Though I think it might not be too bad. So like, where was it? I could have sworn there was a layer. Maybe I just deleted it. That like had a box around where the thumbnail is effectively. Oh well. Ah, there it is. Okay. So like looking at this, there's maybe enough elements in it. So like the teal on the background, the grill is different. The color hue can all get kind of shifted down to teal. So yeah, it might not be bad. Might not be bad to have like the grill and the light in both, and then the light's on in one, off in the other. Could be fine. Okay, so then if I do this, now I can switch between the modes. Does that have everything I need it to have? Condenser does need the forecaster base below it. Right. I knew that. Okay, so then if I have that be the purple, that's the teal. I just turn either on or off. Should be good. Actually, I'm going to undo deleting the forecaster lights because actually I'm thinking of keeping those in it. Just turned off for this layer. Yeah. That might be fine. Honestly, these ellipses are not great. Okay, we're coming up on 1 o'clock. And that's usually when I go on to my lunch break. But I think, because I got some stuff I need to get done, I need to hit the post office before it closes today, stuff like that. I think I'll wrap in short order. But I'll try and wrap up like what we're working on here before I do that. So we might go a little bit longer. Okay, you ellipse are actually supposed to be that angle. And you, same deal. Better. Okay. Okay, and then I think I'm going to add some teal. Into the kind of glass back here. Just so that they're even more distinct feeling. But ooh, maybe these lights will be up here. Yes, I think that's what I can do. Okay. So then for this one, forecaster lights. Kind of reintroduce these elements here that were at the back to the front now, because they're kind of iconic to it. And then get that nice light purple. Sick. That looks cool. Okay. So now So the grill changes, but other elements stay the same. So it's close enough. Yeah, it's not bad. Kind of add a little texture onto these. Why, I couldn't tell you. Which kind of makes me think of like old headlights that had that kind of like little bit of ribbing kind of texture on the glass. Maybe it's to cause it to disperse in directions. But just kind of thinking that. Yeah, like a Jeep. Yeah, that kind of look. Okay, so we're in the chrome denser. So now for this is like not the whole thing. Where's the rest of that coming from? The 4 chrome, maybe? I hide that. Yes, it is coming from that. Okay, cool. So that might mean that I should be able to add a color layer here, grab this teal, and just cool it off. Just to see what that does. It just shifts it ever so slightly in a different direction. Okay. Someone took a move in chess. It's maybe a bit much there, so I'm going to pull it back. Yeah, it's a subtle little tweak. Yeah. I just want to make it, like, more obvious. Okay, so now that feels pretty distinct. Yet similar, right? Okay, I'm pretty happy with those. Cool. All right, let's do the exports and then we'll wrap for the day. Great. Okay, so can get rid of those. Okay, and we'll only have one active at a time because we don't need to double up the reflection down there. All right, so this is Stormcaster base. My brain is not working. The forecast. Forecaster full res. Boom, and then we'll do regular size. Not Firecaster, Forecaster. So that's at 50%. And now, turn that one off, turn this one on. Now we have the condenser version. Okay, at 50%, and now we go for the full res. Set that to 100. Boom. All right. Sick. Stormcaster base. Save. Great. All right. This I can close. Don't need to save that. Tweaked, already saved. All right, so we started off today with the electromagnetic meteorite base, and then we did the dual kind of chrome forecaster and storm condenser combo. But now what I should do is create thumbnails for these. So let's go to my thumbnail file. Dun, 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 dun. Thumbnail file. Okay, so let's find change file of object. Go to Cerulean Skyport, traps. And so we'll start with the electromagnetic one. And let's see what size. Be something like that. Okay. Go file, export, animation, animated GIF. It's not animated, it's just how clip exports. And then we go to where we want it exported. Traps. Really want us to change this to PNGs. Because GIF is just not a great format anymore. But they're all GIFs, so we're just kind of keeping it consistent. It's very low quality format. It's kind of annoying to export to, etc., but it's not terrible. Chrome electromagnetic meteorite base thumb. And the width is 80 by 80. Okay. Export complete. All right, so now if we swap this for the condenser mode, I want to make sure there's enough detail that you can kind of tell it's the condenser happening. All right, so then hopefully that's good. Okay, Skyport, traps. What is this called? The Stormcaster, I think. Stormcaster condensing thumb. And then make that 80 by 80. Boom, and now if we swap this, we're going to keep the same positioning. Boom, there we go. Those look distinct. I like it, I like it. All right, same deal. Export GIF. Locate where I'm saving this. Traps. And I'm going to name it forecasting. Width 80. Boom. Okay. Save. All right. Well, I think that is a wrap. So we can just kind of pop over to where we were. Started here today. Pretty quick and easy. Yeah. I didn't do any time lapse stuff today, so sorry about that. Kind of forgot, but yeah. I know we don't have the nicks and gouges in this. What's that artifact? Missed that. Maybe I should have put some nicks and gouges in it. I don't know. What do we think? Are we a wrap, or should we kind of like re-export with some little extra details? Yeah, maybe I'll add just like a little tweaks. Oh, but the thing is, I copied the chrome, so it's a different chrome for each. Whereas I'd want these scars to kind of like be the same, maybe. Yeah. All right, I'll try it. Should be able to add them in a way where it doesn't matter what base we're looking at or what version we're looking at. It should look pretty good. I was like, oh, take a nick right out of that, but maybe not the best spot. Okay. Again, we don't need to go crazy with this. Okay, let's see what happens when I switch modes now. Okay, so those scars stay there. That is missing the chrome. Why am I missing the chrome? I'm working in the wrong spot, aren't I? What have I done? No, like for real, what have I done? What's wrong? All right. Chrome Stormcaster base. Forecaster, Chrome Stormcaster. What the heck? Okay, we go inside. We have Chrome copy. Chrome copy. Forecaster copy. What is going on? What have I done? Why am I missing the condenser portion? Like completely. Did I delete it somehow? Huh? Oh. Okay, it's just buried in a spot that I didn't expect. Okay. That's awkward. Okay, the forecaster is consistent. That doesn't change. Okay, that makes sense now. These I need to clean up. That's the jewel. Had a little panic there. Being like, why did the really critical folders disappear on me? Okay, so I should be able to switch between those and the scarring The scratches, they're like consistent and look fine. Great, wonderful, good. Okay. Phew. That should exist in this folder. Now, above here. There we go. Now the hierarchy is making a little more sense. Okay, so all that. These are the scars. We'll put that on top. Now it's in one folder. Okay. The jewel there. This can be pulled out of that folder. Sure. This folder just added confusion. Now I can parse the file a little better. All right, we're good. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to re-export these with the new gouges. Keep that one there. Maybe I'll add one more somewhere else, like here. Again, you're probably not like jumping between the different Chrome variants and kind of comparing the scratches and gouges all that much. So like some of them might be the same, some are going to change. It's not a big deal if they do or don't, as long as the whole concept works, which I think it does. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more light to the front of this here. And here. Why? Just to kind of like feel like it matches the front of the base a bit better. And then here, I actually feel like this chrome is not thick enough. That looks a little better. Now hopefully, yep, that looks fine in both versions. Okay, fantastic. The top of this feels like this needs some thickness to it as well. Go with a more neutral color. Maybe a little thinner. Yeah, and darker. Good enough. Okay. So time to re-export these again. But the files exist here, so all I need to do is click on the correct one. So this is the condenser, full res. Yes. Save. Good. All right. And, oh, actually I need to turn that off. Try that again. All right, condenser full res. Yes, export done. And we'll do it at half size. 80% done. All right, and then turn that off, turn that on. Forecaster half size. Good, and forecaster full res. 100. Boom. Okay, and now those are exported. Save the file. Chrome base of Storm CBS. All right, and then this has the new gouges already loaded in because it just grabs the existing file, so I can basically just export the animation again. And this is the forecaster variant. Save. Yes, replace. 80% pixels done. And then we just swap this for the condenser full res. Open. Animation. Export GIF. Put it in the correct folder. There's a lot of this. Just kind of like export this way and do this and a lot of that. But there we go. We have them all exported as needed. Saved. And cool. I'm pretty happy with these. Boom, 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 boom. Looks pretty cool. I'm going to have this as the saved file version when you're looking at it because it's the most different. It really combines both ideas. Okay. Yeah, reflection doesn't match, so it shows scroll work where there isn't none on the base anymore at the bottom. How dare you point out the reality? Mainly here. I don't know, it's roiling clouds, right? Right? I mean, we can change that. It's actually kind of more complicated. Like, I'd introduce this reflection, and that reflection would be good to have. Right, fine. New layer. Okay, so these are going to be like 38% as strong. I mean, we don't even have the jewel reflecting in like any of the Chrome bases, I don't think. So, I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to come after me for not putting in the details as good as I know I can. But this is more noticeable, like a light reflection. And what I could do is just like use an eraser there, but there. That kind of looks acceptable. Get away with that. All right. Let's see. Forecaster export. Yes. Yes. Done. All right. And then half size. How many times will I re-export the same files? It happens more than you think. Okay, and then Let's do this mode. Can I copy this mask? Yeah, that works. It's got a bit of a swirl there, but let's see. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get rid of that. Without like painting in and out elements. Maybe. Such an unnecessary level of detail that I'm committing to. Well, that's what you get. All right. Shadows from the cheese? No, we don't do that. Just because we don't know what the cheese is. Now, if we wanted hyper accuracy on everything, like it's impossible. The way that the system works, like we don't know what the surface material textures are, if it's reflective or anything. The cheese would be responsible for its own reflection in those regards, but then the texture, like there's just like it need to be rendered in a 3D program to like be able to do all the level of detail that I would love for it to be able to do. But we're obviously not working on that level. But like, yeah, the idea of like the chrome base is ultra reflective, right? That's the reason why I put so much like filigree detail in here, is to like obfuscate the concept of it being a mirror surface, right? That can't possibly reflect the environment around it because we don't know what the base and trap combo is, what cheese. I can't make it, dynamically change to match. So I need to kind of like do the best I can with the trickery that I know. Yeah, so, all right. Updated the reflection. So now we're going to export this full res. Nope, actually we'll do the half size first. Condenser, in-game size, and then full res condenser. And all we've done is just tweaked the reflection at the bottom a little bit to just match, make it a little more accurate. But yeah, all right, excellent. Save. Thumbnail technically would be a little bit different, so we can once more export all these. All right, last time we're doing it. Okay, condenser version, yes, 80%. I basically this week been doing nothing but exporting things, so par for the course. All right, full res, boom. Love that little light streak down there. That's why we do it. All right, done and done. Nah, done and done. All right. Save. And you know what? Before I forget, have a Larry link. Let me copy that. Let me pop that into the chat. For those of you who stuck around through this whole endeavor, thank you. Little gift from Larry. All right. Well, I'm going to grab that gift myself. Sweet. It's a nice little snack. Sound my horn. And that's going to be that, I would say. Yeah, I got to go on lunch, and then I got to wrap up some other task stuff, and I got to hit the post office before it closes. So hopefully you enjoyed. It was a bit kind of all over the place, and not so much illustration as it was kind of like, um, I guess, yeah, just collaging. But it was fun. It posed an interesting challenge, and we did do a little bit of painting and such. So I think this one's going to be cool because like the top of it's quite distinct, um, and I like how this is balanced to go between the modes. I think that's actually pretty fun. So yeah, thanks for your input and sticking around. And it should be Dave next week. But until I see you next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and happy hunting, everyone. I will catch you later. Bye for now. Have a good weekend. Bye.